Let's face it, the simple fact is that you're a habitual liar, aren't you, Prime Minister? A stony silence. You said your party has a zero-tolerance approach to Islamophobia, so what action should be taken against you for using the term letterbox to describe Muslim women who wear a burqa? More silence. Will you tell voters the truth about your relationship with businesswoman Jennifer Arcuri and why you didn't declare a personal interest when you were London mayor? Yet more silence. If Boris Johnson really does fail to appear for a grilling by Andrew Neil, the BBC should just go ahead with a half-hour prime-time programme where the Prime Minister is empty-chaired. Mr. Neil could read out the questions he would have asked anyway, making for compelling viewing. But perhaps even that would be a risk that Dominic Cummings and Tory advisers would be willing to take. After all, those who have agreed to an Andrew Neil interview in this election campaign have found it an unforgiving experience. First up was Nicola Sturgeon. The First Minister is an accomplished media performer, easily the most competent politician in front of a camera in Scotland, and surely in the top 10 across the UK. Her interview wasn't quite the car crash that social media would perhaps suggest, but it was certainly a deeply uncomfortable 30 minutes. Her wild assertions about how easily an independent Scotland could stroll into the EU were ruthlessly exposed, and she may come to regret describing the SNP's currency tribulations as a journey. The 45 seconds long list of problems facing the NHS under the Nationalists also deserved the million-plus audience it has since received online. Yet at times the First Minister held her own and, realistically, her performance is unlikely to cost the SNP many votes. However, it might help some Labour left-wingers in England understand why their Scottish colleagues get so angry when they describe Ms Sturgeon as a comrade. Predictably, the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, fared far worse in his own interview. Thoroughly displeased at being there, he repeatedly struggled to explain how he would pay for his manifesto promises. Then, with voters screaming just apologise at their TV sets, he refused 4 times to say sorry for the anti-Semitism shaming his leadership. If heads were in their hands at Labour HQ, the verdict in Tory HQ will have been well, sod that. The Andrew Neil interviews have given voters some food for thought, as these set-piece TV events should. The ITV head-to-head between Mr Johnson and Mr Corbyn has been the only major letdown so far, with a bizarre format which gave neither politician enough time to answer the questions. On this occasion, the victors were those not invited, Joe Swinson and Nicola Sturgeon. With hindsight, perhaps they should have suffered more on this story. Visit the news article link.